and what the wind gusts are and where the storm's going, let's go to Nicandra.
And all night long, we've just been really monitoring the movement here because it really makes a huge difference in where you are in the storm, what kind of conditions you're feeling right now. So we'll get in tight, and I did something here, and hopefully we'll be able to follow this over the next couple of hours and see exactly where this thing is moving. Put this right in where the eye wall has been, and this is very near Grand Isle right now. Looks like they've just gotten into the area where they're getting into some of that calmer part of the storm, but they don't have long to go before they're in those strong southeasterly winds on the other side of the eye, and all of this, moving very slowly here. So hopefully we can hold on to this little mark, and it'll give us an idea of exactly what direction the storm is moving in and how fast it's moving. So right now, continuing to see a lot of rainfall just moving across the city. And as long as we stay in these bands, that's when we're going to be getting those high rain totals. I want to switch over to Viper because I think Viper just gives you a little bit better depiction here of exactly what's going on. You can see the area of the eye wall just a little bit better in here, and gives you some perspective on what we might expect as you go into just the very short term here, looking for those rain bands moving through. And first, I want to notice where you've got the bright reds and yellows, those all picking up and moving around very quickly. We've seen them, and you see just how quickly they come up, especially in our live shots out there, how we've had a couple of our folks. Natasha was out there, she's been trying to stay in a little more protected area, but just how quickly things can change there as that storm moved across Lafitte. And we can track that there on Viper. As you can see, the lighter greens indicating where they were in just a little bit of a break, not much at all. But then again, there goes swinging by more of that bright, deep orange, and that's when you're really involved in some of that strong thunderstorm activity, and you get the increasing wind gusts because you've got the combination of the general circulation of the storm and then the winds from within those storms. Here in the metro area, getting pounded right now. If you maybe are listening on the radio, I'm sure that maybe it's a little hard to hear over some of the activity that's going on outdoors. And then if you're just wondering again, you kind of are on bated breath of what's going on the North Shore and Mississippi Gulf Coast, and you're saying you're in Tangipahoa Parish and you're waiting and watching, when are we going to get into some of this? Well, right now, you're still looking fairly good. You've got those brisk winds around, but so far you've managed to stay out of some of the strongest part of Isaac. So continuing to monitor through the night, we're going to be looking at a lot of activity here over the next couple of hours. We've been trying to still keep up. Just kind of proud of our Landry Lake cam, still managing to hold on to power. And it's hard to see now because it's so dark, but you saw that every now and then when you get those waves, those frothy waves just kind of reflect the little bit of light that you do have out there, and still thrashing around out there on the lakefront. Here's the big picture on satellite. We've been really seeing this thing not moving much for some time, and it took maybe 2 or 3 hours for it to get going again. And the question is, every advisory is said to the northwest at 8 for the last 4 or 5 here, and obviously this thing's moving a lot slower than that. Plus, it doesn't really look like it's moving so much to the west when we check out first the radar, which is really our best depiction right now, because you're seeing what's happening in those low levels, and you don't have so much of that cloud cover to really kind of break through here when we're looking at the dense enhanced pictures here. Those bright reds, those bright purples, those still indicating that we've continued to keep this storm together even as it's interacting with the land here. So it's definitely something that we're going to be monitoring over the next several hours. So taking you back to our coordinates here at 11 o'clock, 29.1 north, 89.9 west. So we did see just a smidge of northward movement here, and the 89.9 west now not moving much. So yeah, there you go. We're continuing with this 8-mile-per-hour movement, but obviously if you've looked at the last 3 hours, we certainly have not seen much in the way of this getting in any major direction here, unfortunately. Now it's slow, but hopefully we can start to maybe get a little bit of momentum and get this thing moving along. We still keep up with the track, not going to expect to see much change in this. And again, you saw how this thing has been going, made a little dip south, bouncing back north. So it's just a general idea at this point of west of the city of New Orleans getting into the heaviest bands of the storm, that more concentric area right around the eye that has the strongest winds, the strongest rain, and that's all going to continue to slide in this direction. Now, there's still the possibility that, hey, it comes up a little bit more this way. The general westward motion that we have been seeing on radar gives you the idea that it might be Galliano, Houma, Chauvin, Montague, that area down in Terrebonne Parish, and even as we go through the river parishes and up towards Baton Rouge, that may even get into some of the higher, or the most strong part of this storm now as we're getting into tonight, and we still are seeing that little bit of a westward jog there, no beeline to the north. It's still kind of doing that step motion and moving so slow here that we may still be dealing with some very nasty conditions again as we go into late tomorrow night and then early Thursday morning. We're kind of hoping that by Thursday morning, overnight Wednesday, we're starting to see things backing down a bit. But as this continues to kind of stay near that water, even though it's interacting with the land, you still got that source to keep strengthening it. So that's the basis that you want to think about there as we're thinking about it's still a very long night ahead for us to watch, Isaac, as we continue into the wee hours of the morning. So what are the effects that we're dealing with right now? We have continued to see those very strong waves out there, those high waves that are kind of piling on top of what's going in as far as surge is concerned. You look at the radar again tonight, and yes, those bands are still spinning around, and a lot of you are wondering, what's going on with the wind. So let's take a look at what we have here as far as our wind stations, and hopefully they are continuing to hold up. And wow, look at this when we check out those wind gusts. 75 miles per hour down at Boothville, 51 just offshore, 89 as you look at one of the buoys offshore just south of Galliano, where they're seeing a wind gust of 70. So that gives you the idea that this is really the heart of the storm. No surprise when you hear Mayor Carmardell down in Grand Isle talking about just how ferocious the winds have been and how long they have been hanging around. And unfortunately, they're going to have to deal with this side of the storm coming up in a very short period of time. Now, we're not missing out on it as you go farther to the north here. Belle Chase is seeing a wind gust tonight of 67, 69 at the lakefront, 61 at the airport. So we have definitely gotten into the mix here across just about all of the South Shore. The North Shore, not as much, with Slidell coming in at 43, Hammond at 33. They really are just starting to feel some of the stronger effects of the system tonight. And maybe, if fortunate, there might be one silver lining in here that some areas are maybe just not going to have to deal with quite as much with this system as the rest of us are going through the night tonight. Quick look at the buoys, and one of the things you want to note here, this is a constant wind speed here. This is your sustained wind, 74 miles per hour there on that buoy, northwest, and definitely continuing through the night to have to deal with these strong winds. And just the reminder that flash flood watch is also going to be on our minds. We've got a lot of rain to deal with over the next day or so. That's a look at the current weather conditions. Back to you guys.
All right, Nikandra, thanks so much.